Hey, yo, welcome back to AIW's The Card is Going to Change. My name is Ronald Two Legs, and as always, I am joined by AIW owner John Thorne. What's up, Thorne?
Joined by UR. I'm here.
We're back. We got a little Q&A going on today. Put out the call there. Got some questions going on. Got a big show coming up here, Hell on Earth, but we're kind of mid-month, we're not week of show, hard sell, anything like that. So we put the call out there for some questions.
About 2 weeks. We got about 2 weeks.
Yeah, 2 full weeks.
So,
right.
Looking for a big final push here in those last 2 weeks. I'd really like to get a solid number, especially with the, 2 months off, essentially. I'd really like to get a strong number out there in East Lake on Black Friday. Man, did you ever get like a pill like stuck in your throat?
A pill? Yeah. I hate swallowing pills, but yeah, that's the worst.
I got one like it's stuck somewhere in there since yesterday, and it's not moving.
Oh no, really?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to do.
Oh, dude, do like a shot of something, you know what I mean? Like do a shot of whiskey or something. That'll force that sucker down. It'll open your pipes up.
Dude, I've been chugging liquids. I've been trying to make myself puke. I've been eating food. I'm trying to fish it out of there. Nothing, it's like a weird, every time I swallow, it's like a weird, stabbing sensation.
I wonder if it actually, it could be because this happened to somebody I know. It didn't actually get stuck. They thought the same thing, but then when they went to the doctor, the pill got stuck on the way down, but it kind of like bruised their esophagus, and that's the pain they felt. It made it feel like something was stuck there, but there was just because of the way it got swallowed, it bruised their esophagus.
Maybe
I had somebody something very similar happen to somebody I know. Yeah, that could be.
Yeah, I'm struggling. I didn't sleep very well last night.
See, now I definitely think you should drink some booze. That'll help you sleep for sure. Get a couple pops in you.
I don't know. It's a weeknight.
I know, right? I don't do much weeknight drinking.
Yeah, but we took a little, not really a full hiatus. We've been doing these towards the end of the weeks, so just kind of missed it on Friday when we've normally been recording these. We're recording it on Monday. Just too much going on, You had the Tyson stuff going on, and the big UFC stuff on Saturday with Stipe fighting. There's just a jam-packed weekend of events of things broadcasting.
Yeah. I know you were a big fan of the Tyson fight. You were excited for that, as a lot of people were. I know nostalgia kind of got a lot of people were very excited for the Tyson fight. People were mad at me. I went the other way. I was rooting for Jake Paul. I didn't even necessarily say I was rooting for the guy. I just knew he was going to win, so I bet on him a little bit. So that's why everyone was mad at me. They're like, stop saying what we know is going to happen. I'm like, you're just mad because you know I'm right. And then I ended up being right, and they were even more mad at me.
Yeah, I think Ariel Helwani said something today, like, nobody was tricked except for you tricked yourselves into what you were going to tune into on Friday night.
Right, yeah. And the thing is, just to me, it's just like the dude has a track record of just like fighting guys that he's going to beat. So to me, it was like, yeah, it sucks. So you're like, yeah, it's Mike Tyson. You want to think that he's going to, pull it out and just destroy the guy. But I saw a lot of people were saying online too, like, he looked slow, like towards the third round or whatever round they like halfway through. He looked slow. I'm like, he's a 60-year-old man. Maybe he just got tired. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I'd look slow halfway through the first round.
Boxing is crazy tough. Like, you get gassed so easily. So I'm like, well, you know what I mean? He's like, I don't know, maybe yeah. But I think what you said right. What Helwani said was just people just tricked themselves into thinking it was going to be something
closer
than what
I mean, everybody did.
I still think
everybody wanted to see it.
Yeah, well, that's what I was going to say. I think everyone still had fun. I went to like a friend of mine's house. He had like a party for it. Everyone still had a good time. They were mad at the end at the outcome, but everything leading up to that was a great time. You know what I mean?
I mean, it was like, it was appointment television.
Yeah.
That's all you can really, there's not much of that anymore, so, I mean, kudos to those guys, regardless, they said something like they think 60 million accounts tuned in, which is probably upwards of 120 million or more people watch that thing.
Wow.
Like, that's crazy numbers.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
yeah, that's crazy. With the bandwidth, did you have any trouble where you were watching? How was your stream? Because I actually
oh yeah, mine was going out during the undercard, and then I did a little, back in the day, like when you're trying to watch on a real player where you had to let the bar kind of fucking
like download ahead of it. Yeah.
So like I did a little rewind, so I was a little behind everybody, but I did a little rewind, and then it seemed to play fine, after I did that little rewind trick.
It was really funny because I didn't even know anything about the buffering stuff actually until the next morning, because where I watched it at my buddy's house, we literally, and this is probably going to sound like a dickhead move or whatever, statement or whatever, but we literally had zero problems. There was no buffering. We watched it straight through. There was never a point where it stopped mid-fight or anything. So like, I didn't even know any of these jokes. I saw the memes the next day.
A lot of the buffering was prior to Tyson and Jake Paul. A lot of it was for the undercard stuff.
Yeah.
People were like getting onto the service, I think it started overloading, but then by the time it kind of all settled in, I don't think there was a ton of issues for that actual fight. But I know, for the women's fight.
Oh, that was so good.
Some of the other stuff, there were some issues for that.
Yeah, and Dom had even said he talked about it in the chat. Hey, that the undercard right before them is going to be really good. So I actually made sure I made myself pay attention. Was in front of the TV early enough to see that, and holy crap, that was good.
Yeah. I thought it was. You know what I mean? Like anymore with just how the world is, and how streaming and entertainment as a whole, everything's just so splintered. To like have something like that to where everybody's going to tune in and everybody's going to watch it. I mean, just pretty incredible accomplishment, regardless of whatever it was. It was a spectacle, and I mean, that's what we got.
It's funny to think too, with such the amount of money on the line, and such a big company like Netflix, but live programming and live, there was still, I don't know if maybe everyone caught it because it's just a normal live, but I know you caught a couple mistakes that the producer made or whoever this or there. There was definitely some flubs, like technical wise, and it was funny to watch. That we do that.
That's why I told Chase, I was like, you got to relax, dude.
Yeah, I mean, look at Netflix, $1 billion, whatever. There was definitely, some things happened and, yada, yada. So that was really fun kind of to watch too. Was kind of checking that stuff out from my standpoint now, from being in the back and stuff. Like how many cameras did they have on that guy's switcher, man? There was so many different camera shots in that place, dude. It was crazy.
Yeah, I mean, but all in all, it was good. And then, I checked out UFC Saturday to support the hometown guy, Stipe Miocic. Did not work out for him, but Dana White got my $79.99 or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Just to check that out and watch the spectacle that whole evening was. So yeah, I mean, lots of combat sports over the weekend.
Yeah, big streaming weekend for sure. I was in front of the TV basically all weekend. Then with Sunday with the Browns and what that debacle.
Yeah,
was.
I mean, and you got to suffer through that too. I did that too. Bad gambling weekend across the board for me. Yeah, it's rough, but what are you gonna do? That's why Dustin was like, "Do you know something I don't know by putting money on Stipe?" I said, "No, but John Jones is like a negative 700 favorite, so I mean, what's the point of betting on him?"
Right. It's kind of like I think Dom was one that says like a scratch off, kind of like if you hit,
it's like a scratch off. It's like a lottery.
Yeah,
it's like getting a lottery ticket. If you hit on it, I mean, it's going to pay big, but if not,
Because I think I'm not going to pretend to be some giant MMA guy or UFC guy or whatever, but I think in the past there had been times where Stipe was an underdog too. Like he had been known, he could come back from fights. So
I think he's always been the underdog. I don't know if he ever came in not the underdog. So
okay.
I think he's always been, even when he was the champ, he was pretty much the underdog. So
right, okay, so he's been known to kind of maybe do that too. So your bet wasn't even like the craziest, you know what I mean? It was a underdog bet, but it's not like it wasn't the wildest, thing you could have chased. So that, that's good too.
Yeah, and I mean, it's just The whole thing's crazy, and it just, you just go like, wow. Like, fucking, there's certain times in the world where Kid Rock is protected by the Secret Service, and you just go, we're living in it right now, baby.
Oh, man. Yeah, that's a funny, it is. There's probably a lot of people in that building that night.
It's just like that was just like one of my like observations. I was like, man, this is like crazy. Like, there's times in this world where Kid Rock is protected by the Secret Service. Like, that is just a crazy thought.
Bob Rock, dude. Yeah, who would have thought?
Yeah,
who would have thought?
Good for him, I guess.
We did make some announcement. Well, not some announcements. You've alluded to some things online. I don't know how much we're going to get to, but there are a bunch of questions. Maybe some of those have to do with some of the things we've alluded to online.
Let's do some questions.
Yeah, we opened it up to our Discord. I even threw it out on Twitter. If you're on Twitter, you can follow either Absolute Intense Wrestling or John Thorne or myself. We sometimes throw the questions out there, or join our Patreon. And get in our Discord. You can ask questions there. I'm going to start somewhere. I'm going to start with the one on X that I got that I thought was an interesting question, and I'm curious what your answer to this one is. Michael Clark on Twitter wants to know, who is the greatest AIW superstar of all time? I figured I'd ask this first because it might take a while to finally get to the answer, or however long, we may have to discuss this.
It's tough.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Right.
It's tough. You can make a lot of arguments for a lot of different people and a lot of different eras, for a lot of different reasons.
Mm-hmm. I almost feel like this is one we could, if we had some extra time at Hell on Earth, we could get guys like Pedro and Wadsworth and maybe sit down and do like a 4-way roundtable and really do a long form on this question, to be honest.
I would be interested in what their analysis would be of this question.
Criteria for greatest superstar, you mean?
Just, I mean, it's, there's a lot of different things that you can take into consideration,
Yeah.
But I think, all things considered, when you boil it all down to AIW in Cleveland and all of that stuff, just throughout different eras, I think you have to probably go with Johnny Gargano. I don't know that, there's not a lot of guys that were around as long as he was, even though he's been gone for a while. And just put in the body of work that he did at the level that he did. And, there were some shows where he was working, 2 times a night, and, mm-hmm. For no money or little money, or there's certainly a very, very strong argument to be made for Johnny Gargano. I would say there's other people that you can throw into the mix for sure. Like an Ethan Page, a Matthew Justice. There are a ton of names, really.
J Pro, I feel like probably could be on that list.
He can be on there, absolutely. Yeah, it's a very tough question. I mean, you can really break down a lot of different things, and then there's people that have been around in the modern era for a long time, like Dominic Garrini, or you know what I mean.
Staying power, kind of, yeah, right. Dom has great. Yeah, he's been around and been in,
which is kind of in that same vein as Gargano. Like
mm-hmm.
Gargano was like he was like a foundation or a building block for the rest of the shows. Like, if we always had Gargano, no matter what, we could put together a show. So there's just a lot of different things to consider. But I think, he is probably he's the guy. It's hard. It's really hard to pinpoint a different guy, especially, a lot of the guys are still active in AIW that you can make arguments for.
Yeah.
So Johnny kind of gets like a little bit of a curve because he's gone. You know what I mean? He is gone.
Right.
You know, so it's like the other guys are still kind of adding to their legacies to where Johnny's is, you know, probably done in AIW for the most part. You would think. So, you know, it's kind of hard to judge like active versus non-active. So that's a pretty difficult question, to be honest with you, but I'm going to go with Gargano, which, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of arguments that can be made for different people, but I think, you know, just for a body of work, time, connection to the city, the brand, all that stuff, I think it's Gargano.
I would think the pop he got at AIW Against the World at the Temple Live that night would agree with that answer. I think that is a good kind of, you know, barometer for something like that too, to come out as a surprise. Like, I mean, the building exploded when that guy came through the curtain, and he has all the things that you said, like the connection to the city. I think is a big one, being from here. You know what I mean? So I like that answer.
I think the connection to the city is big. You know, we go to different places, and you know, you get your Akron or your occasional Youngstown or, you know, Minerva or North Cantons or whatever. You know, but you know, when you boil it all down, AIW is a Cleveland independent wrestling brand, and I think we have a connection to the city, and I think, you know, Johnny also has a connection to the city.
Michael actually answered the question. Somebody else chimed in. Casanova Camera said, "Why?" Answered his question. Said, "Why is it Wes Barkley?" But then Michael actually replied and said the correct answer, which I definitely think bears mentioning here. He says the correct answer is extremely cute. Colin Delaney, definitely on that list. I think for one. Yeah,
there's certainly an argument for Colin as well. He's been around for a very, very long time.
Yeah,
but again, a guy that's still adding to that body of work.
Yeah.
You know, it's hard to kind of say who is the, you know, it's hard, you know, it's much easier when someone is removed from the equation, right? Like, some people are still within the equation, so it makes it a little bit more difficult.
Yeah. Right. The Delaney one I thought actually was, I really thought bear mentioning, just because of what you said with still adding to, with, you know, 2 years ago when he came out for when he came out with the Undertaker music, just because he'd done every one. And then again this year, like stuff like that, little stuff like that to me is so funny. Colin's just such a nice guy too. Every time he's around, I feel like I learn something about wrestling when he's around, but just certain little stuff like that.
He's a genius.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Colin is a genius. Like,
absolutely.
If there was like some, you know, there's all these rumors of all these different, you know, things going on with WWE and all that stuff, but if there was somebody that was deserving of like a player coach job, it's Colin Delaney, and you know, and Cheech for that matter. Both of those guys are just well far beyond so many people on, you know, within independent wrestling right now, as far as skill and knowledge and just, you know, overall just ability at everything. It's really incredible.
Yeah.
But it's funny that you said the thing with the Undertaker, because I got a text because you know, like, we've been uploading clips and different things, and I got like a text from somebody that like, is Colin Delaney going through a gear crisis? And I'm like, what are you talking about? And like, it was him like in that Undertaker like fishnet thing that he wears.
Yeah, it was so great.
I was like, he's trying to look like the Undertaker. It's like, I don't know how to explain this. Like, this is not what he's wrestling in usually.
Yeah, this is kind of a one-time deal. Yeah, that was so funny that night. Yeah, just stuff like that. I always say too, like when the question gets brought up of like that old question of like, who's like the one person or like the one tag team or whatever you would pick to like start a promotion with. I always think that you know, To Infinity and Beyond is such a great answer, because they're so great in the ring, but the other stuff that they, you know, the teachable stuff that they know, like the knowledge that they have, would help the overall promotion, in my opinion.
Those guys have wrestled everybody imaginable.
Yeah.
You know, and they just are just wealths of knowledge.
Absolutely. So speaking of this question kind of brings up something, I guess, a little locally, talking about the Cavs. But Ryan Tremendous wants to know, what kind of table do you think Jay Gold is going to get put through at Hell on Earth? Because apparently there is some sort of Cavs undefeated streak bet going on, apparently, between Ryan Tremendous and friend of the show, Jay Gold. Apparently, Jay Gold has offered to go through a table, I guess, if the Cavs are still undefeated by the time of Hell on Earth. So are we gonna have to put an extra door in the budget? Tell Pedro to bring an extra one, because I know there was a match announced that we're going to need a whole lot of doors for at Hell on Earth.
Doors or tables are two different budgets,
right? That's for sure.
Tables are, tables usually have two zeros after them, and doors 1 0. So
the thing with
that's that we have not. This is whatever this bet is between Marks with Mikes and Jay Gold that is non-sanctioned.
It's
AIW.
unsanctioned. That's in the parking lot action.
Yeah, that is that's you guys in the parking lot, with your own money buying a table, Bill's Mafia style.
Ooh, yeah. Now you're talking.
I can't tell you what to do there because I don't want to be liable for any of that.
Very true. Very true. How you liking the Cavs though? Still undefeated. I have to bring that up. That is pretty crazy.
Yeah, I've been watching it. I've been watching it a little bit. I know we had a little meeting at Duke W3 about a week ago to try to get some things organized, and our guy number 33 Travers was on the bench. That's the new AIW Robin Lopez, our new favorite player.
He rules.
Heartbeat of the team.
Yeah. Heartbeat
of the team, number 33. Travers. That's what we decided. But I've been watching it every now and then. It's so easy to just put on same thing like during the baseball season. It's just easy when you don't want to find anything else on TV, and you just can put the Cavs game on or put a baseball game on and then just fucking scroll on your phone or do whatever the fuck else you were gonna do. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
So I've been watching it here and there, but they're looking pretty good. I don't know. I guess that if they win Tuesday, I would imagine that they'll probably still be undefeated by Hell on Earth. I think Tuesday's the big test.
Right. Okay, a couple more questions here. The real Bobby M on Twitter wants to know, he had a couple questions. This one was a good one. I was curious of your answer. He said, what is the most unexpected thing that has ever happened at an AIW show? And with AIW being, around for so long, I mean, this is another one that could be really hard to answer with just, especially in the early days, if you're talking unexpected. I mean, the list of unexpected things, could be anything.
Oh God, there's been so many things. Probably, I would say, off the top of my head, one of the most unexpected things happened in December of 2007 when my roommate at the time, named Chris, you may know him after I get to this story.
I think I already know who it is.
Was drinking Christmas ale in the AIW crowd.
Oh, yeah.
And his girlfriend punched his cousin, Dan, in the face. And Dan was bloody.
Oh, boy.
However, the cause of that bloodiness was not explained. So Chris thought that the AIW wrestlers beat his cousin up. So he began to riot in the crowd.
Oh, no.
As I made my entrance, and he took chairs and he threw them at me.
Yeah, so you're wrestling, and you're coming through the curtain in this situation as a wrestler. That is hilarious.
Yeah.
So he's fired up.
Yeah, and then my friends did fight the AIW wrestler.
the prophecy became foretold.
So that was pretty unexpected. Yeah, that was probably one of the more unexpected things that has happened. There's been a ton of really unexpected things that happened. Venues not giving us money withholding our money, people not showing up, people not getting on their planes,
Closing a week before the show.
venues closing. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot. But I gotta say, when your roommate's throwing a chair at you and you're getting ready to wrestle, that's pretty unexpected.
Yeah,
So,
you're not having that thought. That's for sure.
so I'm probably gonna go with that answer. I'd be curious again. Like, I think you should keep some of these, and I would like for you just like who they think is the greatest wrestler or the definitive AIW wrestler.
Mm-hmm.
I would like for you to also ask people like Wadsworth, Pedro, someone like a question like this too.
Yeah.
I mean, because there's Tom Dunn. There's people that have been around for a long time that have seen a lot of things at AIW, a lot of unexpected things at AIW for sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'd be interested because my memory isn't great, like that's Chandler used to be the memory, and then I would drink, and then my brain would just purge the memories, and then if I need to remember something, Chandler would just tell me later. So I got a lot of things that are just the hard drive is blank, in a lot of things.
Yeah.
So
No, that's definitely something we could do, especially on a day like Hell on Earth. I can just wander around and grab people. Hey, give me 5 minutes. You know what I mean? And definitely ask them. That's definitely something we can do for sure.
yeah, because I'd be interested because there's so many weird things like that have happened.
Yeah, I mean,
Like nothing really crazy like that.
and there's
Thankfully happens anymore, but for the most part, it's just like people not showing up or things like that.
the AIW thing, the greatest AIW superstar thing, just back to that real quick. I would be extremely curious in just hearing some of these other people that have been around forever, his opinions. Wadsworth, Pedro. Shit, I'm going to ask like Monsoon, and I'll ask Alberti. Alberti's a guy that's been around forever. You know what I mean? I would love it if Laporta would come back. I'd love to get an opinion of somebody like that. Just fans that have been around forever, and and workers of AIW, people involved in AIW that have just been around for so long. I would love to hear their opinion on that.
Yeah, one time Tim Donst did lock his keys in his car with the car running at a rest stop. I did remember
Donst
that
did, you said?
Yeah.
That tracks.
And he just had to leave his car there. Get another car, go pick him up.
Just left it. I gotta go wrestle. I'm gonna leave this running. You take care of this.
I was like, hey, you got to make the show. We had another car that was coming from the area. Go pick him up.
Incredible.
He just left the car running.
It's eventually gonna turn off, right?
I said, yeah, what do you want to do? You want to sit there and watch your car run out of gas? You want to come make some money?
That's a good point. I can't argue with that. That is a fair point. Another question from Bobby, the real Bobby M wants to know, and I'm curious on your opinion on this. What is something in wrestling you absolutely believe should happen at every show? So, what is something, every show?
I don't know. I mean, I think as far as I think that's, if you want to get to the nuts and bolts of that question, I think it's a very subjective question. And that's why there are so many different varieties of wrestling and independent wrestling and things like that. I don't necessarily have like as far as with the show, this has to happen, every single time or whatever. Mm-hmm. But I do think it is important just overall to just try to have like good customer service and common courtesy to the fans. I think you see a lot of it you just see a lot of people, like a lot of gotten to wrestlers, promoters and things like that. Mm-hmm. A lot of times on social media. And there's a lot of like, especially on Facebook, there's a lot of like, let me tell you blah, 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 about what I do and this and that. And like, there's just a lot of just like self-serving bullshit in wrestling. And it's just like, nobody cares about any of this stuff, there's a lot of, you may find this as a surprise, but there's a lot of times that the fans maybe do aggravate the talent at times for real backstage. And the talent has to be reminded that, like, they bought a ticket. You know what I mean? Like, so who gives a shit? Like, it's their right. And I think people just need to be reminded that, like, it is their right. We are providing them the entertainment. They don't know us anything. And so, like, I just think that just, like, common courtesy and customer service and just, like, respect for fans as much as possible is probably the one thing that I think every show should have, and, like, you'd be surprised. Like, it's not, like, that's not, like, a protocol everywhere.
Sure. This is a weird one for me just because I've only ever worked AIW, so it's hard, you know what I mean? I don't know anything. Well, I guess
Well, you know what I mean? Like, it's just easy to be like, no, you're wrong. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we're right, you're wrong. And it's just like, who cares? Like, let's just go to the back, like, just stuff like that. Like, and I do think as much as possible, you should try to start on time. And whether you drink or not, I think, if possible, every show should have alcoholic beverages.
Yeah,
for sale. I just think it adds to the atmosphere of professional wrestling.
Yeah, I agree with that for sure.
That is like that's really like a key in a lot of why it's hard for us to find venues and things like that. Like, we're not going to go to the gym, like, that doesn't allow that.
Do you remember the one show we did? I wasn't even working for the company. I was a fan at the time. That I think it was that weird place in Parma that we had no booze at.
Yeah, well, I mean, that was another one of those situations to where
last minute, I think, right?
Well, it was like Mount Carmel and everywhere else where they're like, yeah, we have these licenses. Yeah, you could sell it if you buy it, blah, blah, blah. And then, like, turned out that, like, we were just being lied to about that, and, like, we were just, we were supposed to be obtaining these things through a nonprofit. Like, they weren't ever obtaining the licenses.
Right.
Like, we were, that was the impression that we had at those venues, is like, because that's in the agreement. They're like, yeah, we're a church, we allow the renters the ability to sell alcohol, all this stuff, but then they were never going and getting these permits. Luckily, nothing really ever came of it, but
yeah,
once we found out about it because the first, I don't know how many times we did it at that Parma place, but we definitely had alcohol. And then we found out that, they didn't get the permit or whatever they're supposed to get. And then we didn't have it I think the last time we were there.
Yeah.
And then that's when we were like, we're not fucking coming back here.
I think it was the time too, where they had that, like, rain or like something leaked in there. So in that front room, like, there was like moldy, like,
I mean,
drop
that place
ceiling.
was a mess.
Yeah, I want to say that was what happened there. Okay, moving on. Some more questions from the Discord. Jeremy, EVP of Health, wants to know: will there be any new additions coming to the merch store? You got any ideas brewing on some merch stuff, maybe for the holidays or wintertime? We need a new hoodie. Can we do? This was something I wanted to request. Can we do pullover hoodies, not zip ups? I really want a pullover hoodie.
Yeah. So, my plan is, hopefully, we can have a really good turnout at Hell on Earth. We have, like, a lot of just kind of, with not having a show for 2 months and all that stuff, we have, like, a lot of just kind of outstanding things that we need to kind of catch up on financially, catch up on some bills. Hopefully we can, get into that profit margin, once we catch up on all that stuff. And then my plan would be, I would like to get the Russell Rager MD 2020 logo on
Yeah.
a pullover hoodie
Ooh.
for December. That would be my hope, but that shit is expensive.
Yeah.
To like get made. Like, things are expensive when you're dealing, because for shows we only deal with screen printing and all that stuff as far as our merch goes.
Yeah.
And when you're dealing with that is a very expensive upfront endeavor. So like we gotta raise some funds on Black Friday, and then hopefully for December we'll have some pullover hoodies.
Nice. That, or I wonder if we should look into maybe doing like a pre-order. That way we don't have to order too many more than what we think we would, sell. Why? That might be a move too, to do like a pre-order.
Yeah, maybe, but
just want to have them ready to go. I know what you mean.
We can't even get fucking. This team we got, dude. Who's gonna be in charge of the pre-orders?
Well,
can't even get people to return emails.
Fair enough. Well, keep it going forward. Some more questions from Discord here. Russ Williams, somebody who asks questions all the time. We appreciate it. Russ wants to know, in Hell on Earth tradition, will matches be relaxed rules? Obviously, in past Hell on Earth, they always kind of run intense rules per se. Is that going to be the theme this year as usual?
I would say that there'll be a few that you could probably anticipate will be relaxed rules.
Yeah, I mean, it was announced today on Instagram. We got Matthew Justice versus the Beast Mordos. So I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say that one's probably gonna be relaxed rules.
Yeah, I mean, you got John Wayne Murdoch and Filthy Tom. There's a bunch of stuff cooking. I mean, it's not really something like we advertise or put out there. But if you're an AIW regular, you're not. A lot of AIW shows, you're not coming to see pure catch-as-catch-can wrestling throughout the whole night. So to say like relaxed rules, like I don't like. That's why I never like when they tried to get this like intense rules thing over. For like this was like a whole pitch that I never agreed to, that like somehow got away from me, and like people went, and like they started trying to push this thing like the intense rules, like just like the whole show is kind of intense rules. It's absolute intense wrestling, like like I don't know, like it's gonna be an AIW show, like there's no like I don't have a rule book, but it's going to be an AIW show. There's not going to be, crazy like there's probably not going to be like a DQ finish in John Wayne Murdoch and Filthy Tom. You know what I mean? Like that. It's so
that actually would be awesome if John Wayne and Filthy Tom had like a pure rules match.
I would come expecting an AIW show. Like I think people get kind of too caught up in some of that stuff, and like the semantics of wrestling. Like if you come to an AIW show, and Russ, you've come to a lot, like come to expect an AIW show.
I think it's going to be a great one, just on the sheer fact, like you said, that we've been off for a little while. I think everybody's going to be chomping at the bit to get back to a show, have a good time, have some drinks. The performers, obviously some of these guys are working other places, but there's nothing like an AIW crowd, especially the East Lake venue, a place that we only do typically, once a year. I think it's going to be a real live atmosphere that night on Black Friday, and I'm really excited to get back. I can't wait personally.
Yeah, and like I said, this is probably going to be the last time that you're going to see, as far as like the Cleveland-ish area, like an extended amount of floor seating beyond, one or two rows, I would think.
Right. Devin wants to know, Devin asks, what's the craziest thing to happen while recording the podcast? As far as podcasting goes, I don't know if we did the pod that day, maybe earlier in the day, but I will say, and forever, probably for the rest of my life, one of the craziest things and one of the coolest things that I was ever a part of was during one of the booking meetings when those lights flickered after some some statements were made and the lights flickered, and I swear to God, I will forever remember that. I think that was one of the craziest things that ever happened. It was incredible that day.
Yeah, I mean that's certainly up there.
Right.
When Chandler reappeared to voice his opinion during a very controversial booking pitch.
Yes, it was for me. It was just something, like I said, I'll never forget, because I didn't know Chandler as well as everyone. I definitely didn't work at the company when he was around, so like, there's no doubt in my mind that was Chandler voicing his opinion, and to be there for it was really cool. Like, and just all the reactions that happened there was incredible.
Yeah, and like, it's just like one of those weird things to where you're just like, I don't even know if I'm like a believer in, like the great beyond or whatever you want to call it, but then you just go, man, this is super weird.
Yes.
What's going on right here?
It made a believer out of me. That's for damn sure. That's for sure.
I mean, there was tons of crazy stuff that happened in those like old podcast days too, like, Eddie Kingston and Swoggle recording Sid, or just tons of things with there was tons of craziness, like that went on at some of those podcast recording sessions.
I remember one of them. Didn't you guys do at like Eddie Only's house, and everyone was drinking, and there was a bunch of like fireworks cracking off or something too? One of the times, I think.
Yeah, there was a lot of them that were done like at houses with alcohol, or at after parties, after shows.
Yeah.
Like just all nothing too crazy though. Just the light flickering thing certainly stands out.
Yeah, that was for me. That's the number one. Another question, the Spartan Sam wants to know if there's any more venue news you can share on the podcast. I know it was announced on social media stuff that there is some information coming. Anything you'd like to share here on the Card is Going to Change?
I would anticipate an announcement and tickets on sale for that announcement very, very soon. I can't say right now because I was waiting on a response to an email right before we started recording this. I will say that, I've mentioned it before, but we are in talks with 2 new venues in the Cleveland area, and another new venue to return to a different market outside of Cleveland. So there's a lot going on right now. I am not gonna say specifically right now what it is, but I will say this:
a teaser.
that it's going to be on the west side of Cleveland. We were looking at some more centralized locations, like Temple Live was kind of centralized, downtown, but it just was not working out right now. As far as just there were a lot of things kind of in flux, so we are going to revisit that sometime in the spring. But like I said, we're talking to at least two right now, potentially more than that. There's been some like loose conversations with some other places, but in the Cleveland area, what we announce is going to be, we'll be back there in March as well. So I will say that there'll be a January and there'll be a March in Cleveland.
Very exciting.
That is for sure right now. And then we're going to potentially speak to the other place about a spring-summer schedule and kind of, bounce back and forth if we can. Like I said, these are going to be smaller than the Temple for sure. The ringside seating is going to be heavily reduced. So even the amount in the rows, and then I set it up today. There's only there's only going to be a first and a second row at this show. So beyond that, GA is going to be, whatever random, seating they have out, but it's going to be one of those not guaranteed seating situations. So if you want a seat, you better jump on it.
Okay.
And we have this is another thing I will say, and maybe this is going to tip our hat too much, but we have no control over the ticketing. So Devin McMillan, no, I cannot hold a ticket for you because I have no control over it.
Okay. A couple questions from our friend Scott Random. Scott wants to know when the unseen or unstreamed events from 2024 will be released on YouTube and or Patreon. I know there was just an announcement that you said that Wrestle Rager should be up soon. Is there anything as far as that you want to expound upon?
Yeah, so Wrestle Rager is ready. The software I was going to use to stream it on YouTube was like limited, because I didn't want to do it as a VOD because I don't know what happens with the copyrighted music. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So we were going to stream it through like a third-party software. And then, long story short, I was going to do it yesterday. It only allows you to do it, up to like a 2-hour file. So it's over 2 hours. So if I wanted to do it that way, I was going to have to pay like $200. So that was kind of like, I was like, that kind of negates everything. So yeah. I am going to try and do it another way, that I'm going to trial and error this week, and then you'll probably see Wrestle Rager sometime this week, and then it'll go up as a VOD on both YouTube and Patreon at some point after we stream it live. Slammed on 6th is also pretty much ready to go. We just got to drop a commentary track on that, and then some of the other stuff, just waiting on Chase Oliver to edit, and then looking for some re-edits on some stuff like Absolution and different things that like need to be fixed before I put them back up.
Okay. Another one from Scott. He wants to know if you have any information on whether or not Beast Mordos will be signing. He's kind of trying to decide if there's a figure he wants to buy to get signed, I believe. So he's curious on that.
I would think so. It's not like one of those ones where like we control it, so it's totally up to him. I would think he probably is going to go sign some though.
Yeah, I mean, I would have to think he's going to go out, and sign some. As a pretty big name, I would have to think, he's going to have a line. I would think, right? You know what I mean? I would have to think, right. A guy like that want to make some money.
The only thing I guarantee is Dijak and Tully Blanchard will be signing.
Fair enough. So yeah, that was it. What we had for questions. We did announce a few matches over on our Instagram. We'll go over a couple of those real quick. I did already say, we got Beast Mordos versus Matt Justice. That's one. It's going to be obviously going to be a barn burner. But one I wanted to talk about, which I want to get everyone in the building early. We're going to have our free view match, and this one's going to be sweet. It got a 6-way. We got Vic Weiss, Tyson Riggs, Trey Lamar, Shelby Wilder, Austin James, and Tyler Jordan going in a 6-way scramble here. Pretty excited for this one. A lot of up and coming names in this 6-way free view.
Yeah, and like I said, we're looking to kind of repurpose that time before 7:30, and make it matter, to where it's not just like a dark match or something like that. So going forward, you're going to see more of an emphasis on putting really exciting stuff in that spot, for a variety of reasons. It's going to go out on all of our social media for free to try to get people to tune in to the stream that's behind the paywall. but also, to try to encourage people to get to the venue early. Just, set the pace for the show. I think that these 6 can certainly do that. And yeah, so like I said, we had a meeting, and this was kind of one of the things that we discussed was, putting a focus on that 6:30 to 7:30 time frame instead of here's 2 students trying to get some 4 minutes of ring time,
Right.
Now it's really going to be like, throw people into the fire, and try to put some exciting stuff in that time slot. Are they students? Yes, but it's not going to be like, hey, go out there and try to learn something for 4 minutes and like, good job. Like now it's like, go out there and fucking perform, or I don't know when you're going to perform again. Like there's going to be such a more of an emphasis on quality and things like that I think we got a little bit too away from, especially when we were doing like these bar shows and these things where you do have to have a focus on getting the students reps, but it does impact the quality of the shows. So now it's just kind of like, you guys got to go to training, and you guys got to figure it out at the school, and you can't really be doing this on the job training stuff that's been going on for the last little while. And there's guys and girls that are excelling, and there's guys and girls that aren't, and we cannot risk the quality of the show anymore on that. And that's what these free view slots are going to be. Sometimes you're going to see a main card match on the free view slot. I just really want to put an emphasis on quality of the show. I feel like, we kind of coasted for a little bit coming out of COVID, and then we were doing well, and then things have like, finally settled down to where like people don't want to just come and support AIW because it's AIW. They want to come to a good show. And at times, I'm the biggest AIW critic. I feel that we didn't deliver the quality that we are known for. Mm-hmm. And I want to get back to that. And I want to put an emphasis on that. And that's what the plan is going forward. And I think, these may be students or whatever, but I think that these 6 are going to set the tone for what I'm explaining right here.
Yeah, I agree. I think the free view is definitely a place that you can set the tone of a show and keep it going from there. Yeah, I definitely agree. Another thing I know, this isn't really our hard sell, but there was one more thing I did want to mention about the card going forward. We do have a debut coming up on this Hell on Earth. We're gonna see Jocelyn take on Mila Moore. Am I saying that right? Mila? I'm not sure. I'm no women's wrestling expert, so I'm not going to pretend. But
I'm going to defer to you on that.
Okay, I'm going with Mila Moore, Mila, Mila Moore. I'm, like I said, not a women's wrestling expert, but I know it's an AIW debut. Excuse me. I know Pedro.
Her name's been popping up on a lot of different things, and
yeah, Pedro had posted about her a little bit, so I know her name's out there for sure.
Oh, by the way, in case you didn't know, Pedro DeLuca is now on Facebook.
Yes.
So add him, and you can get a history lesson every morning about something.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. He's been posting, some write up stuff, some stuff, pictures and stuff on wrestlers on there, and that's.
I feel like he's like really into it. Like he probably, I think he lesson plans his Facebook posts.
I like it. I'm learning something, you know what I mean? Especially about, and that's the thing too, is like I said, I obviously haven't been around, forever in AIW. I probably sound like a broken record when I say that, but this, Pedro and that kind of stuff is how I learned about a lot of the stuff that I was not around for. And that man's an encyclopedia of knowledge. That's for sure.
What's interesting to me is he's posting like photographs that he took himself that he gets autographed. So like, I think today he posted like an AR Fox in AIW. Mm-hmm. Photograph that he had AR Fox autograph. Like that's what a lot of his posts are like autographed photographs that he took.
It's awesome.
And then he'll have like a little historical write up. So if you're on Facebook and you're looking for somebody that's not talking about the election or politics or any of that, add Pedro DeLuca on Facebook, and you will get some historical lessons pretty much daily about Northeast Ohio independent wrestling.
I love it. And he doses in there a little bit of hate for Shelby Wilder.
Well, I mean...
but yeah, so
we could do a whole podcast about that.
No, not me. I love Shelby. I love that guy. But he doesn't torment me like he does you guys, so that's fair enough. But yeah,
He doesn't torment me. He just annoys me.
Right, same thing, I guess. But yeah, so we do have a women's debut. That's something I know the fans, and something that the fans are just always asking about. We're always trying to get new ladies in here. So that was something I did want to mention.
We are working. We are dangerously close to graduating our very first from scratch female graduate from the AIW Academy. It's a little teaser for you. She's been working very hard. She's very close.
Yeah.
If we would have did a fresh meet this year, she probably would have made the cut. But we are going to probably stagger some debuts this year for some of these people that missed out on the opportunity for fresh meat, with that being kind of cut from the schedule. And then, so you may see a couple debuts coming up soon. So that's just a little tease for that too.
Yeah, that is exciting. We do have a couple students ready to go. We've got to see a little tease of them, on some of these little small spot shows. But yeah, that will be exciting since there was no fresh meat show this year. That is worth mentioning. Anything else you want to get to? I know we're not going to go over too much of this card. We still got another podcast before Hell on Earth, so I want to kind of save some of that stuff for our preview show here next week. But anything you want to get to?
No, I gotta go check on my grandmother here shortly. We have a real Buddy the Elf situation going on at her house with the dementia.
Oh.
We've learned that she's been drinking the syrup over there when nobody's watching.
Oh, no. It's tasty, though. I can't blame her, to be honest with you. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, she's like, man, this is so good. What is this? You can't drink that. Grandma, you cannot
Should be bouncing off the walls, dude.
Like, I know you want to live on your own and you're trying to respect your wishes, but you can't drink the friggin' whole bottle of syrup. So,
did she watch Elf? Is that what gave her the idea, or just saw it in there?
No idea. Nope. She just was like, what's this?
Oh, man. I don't mean to laugh, but that is funny.
I mean, it's really... I mean, it's funny and it's not. Like, all you could do is laugh, though.
Right, that's what I was going to say. Yeah, it's
there's like an empty bottle of syrup, and you go, "What happened to the syrup?" She's like, "Oh, that's a good drink."
Oh boy. Well, on that note, you go take care of that, Thorne. Until next week, if you want to ask questions, we will get to them on the pod. Feel free to join our Patreon, get in the Discord, hit us on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it. Any questions you guys want, we'll always get to them on the pod. But get tickets. We still have a few second row tickets left, so let's sell out those second row. Black Friday in Eastlake, Ohio at 4 Sports, Hell on Earth. We'll see everybody there. For myself, for John Thorne, for AIW, see you later. Thanks.